Life Audio.
Right? Culture's
Oh,
like, if you
yeah.
just lose weight, if you just get the body, then you'll be fine. And the truth is, no, it's so much more complex than that. I mean, there's a spiritual
No.
component to this that we talk about all the time, but I just
Yeah.
love hearing about the physical component. Like, the reality is my nervous
Yeah.
system needs me to be aware of it. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually have the ability to walk into the party and live in my window of tolerance and
Yeah.
think about others. But if I'm not aware, like I don't have a
Yep.
chance at doing it, right? Hey there, friend. Heather Creekmore here today. I'm continuing my conversation with Dr. Tamara Rosier. She's written some great books on ADHD. Last time we talked about narcissism and body image issues. And today we are talking about your nervous system, how your body, your brain, your nervous system, how it really can play a role in how we handle our body image issues. You are going to get so much out of this conversation. You're going to learn a lot. I'm excited for you to be here. Hey, if you enjoy it, drop us a review. Those are the nicest things you could do. Drop a review on Apple or Spotify. Let us know what you're loving about this show. Now let's get to today's episode. Welcome to Compared to Who, the podcast to help you make peace with your body so you can savor God's rest and feel His love. If you're tired of fighting body image the world's way, Compared to Who is the show for you. You've likely heard lots of talk about loving your body, but my goal is different. Striving to fall in love with stretch marks and cellulite is a little silly to me. Instead, I want to encourage you and remind you with the truth of Scripture that you are seen, you are known, and you are loved no matter what your size or shape. Here, the pressure is off. If you're looking for real talk, biblical encouragement, and regular reminders that God loves you and you're not alone, you've come to the right place. I hope you enjoy today's show, and hey, tell a friend about it. Dr. Tamara Rosier, thank you so much for being on the Compared to podcast again.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here.
Okay, so you have this brand new book. And last time we were talking about narcissism and boundaries and all the things. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to the first part. But today I want to dig more into, I'm going to just call it nervous system stuff. I know that's the technical name for it, nervous
Yeah.
system stuff. But
Yeah.
I've been studying this a little bit more really since our conversation when you were on the show the first time, where we talked about ADHD and being your prefrontal cortex versus, well, really for the ADHD person, not being your prefrontal cortex
Yep.
versus living in fight or flight, vagus nerve, calming yourself down,
Exactly.
all of
Yes.
those things. And, as women who struggle with body image issues,
Yeah.
I would say this is my hypothesis, and I'm going to let you say whether or not I am way off base or if I'm right. I think we live in fight or flight a lot because we are
100%.
always scanning to see if we're going to be rejected. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. So here, let's draw this out.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, I love your listeners because I've had body issues. I've had to heal. And it's so funny how they'll creep back in.
Mhm.
And I really have to remain vigilant.
Mhm.
And it's just amazing how easily.
Yeah.
Um, and even, as I age, I can become hypercritical of myself. So I really have to be careful. And that's why I just want to say to your listeners right now, if I say anything that you're like, ouch, Tamara, watch where you're stepping.
Mhm.
I apologize. I'm at a different place right now. And I know some of you guys are still in the thick of it.
Mhm.
And it's really hard. And I don't know if I could hear things I might say today.
Mhm.
So I just want to say that with a lot of love. And if you could extend me some grace on that. So let's talk about the nervous system a second.
Mhm.
Our nervous system was designed with it's like two pathways, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Now, I'm oversimplifying all of this. And you probably know about the sympathetic nervous system.
Mhm.
That's our fight or flight,
Mhm.
freeze or appease, right? That's where we're like, what do we do to respond? And then the other side is the rest and digest.
Mhm.
And I almost feel like, okay, please don't think I'm being sacrilegious, but I kind of feel like I could rewrite a verse going, instead of be still and know that I'm God, it's rest and digest and know
I
that I
love it.
am God,
I love it. Not
right?
sacrilegious at all. I think that's
Um,
perfect.
but but that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because God's saying, hey, listen, I know something about how your body works.
Yeah.
And girlfriend, it works this way. You
Yeah.
need to rest and digest to have the thoughts that you need to have, and your whole body works this way.
Yeah.
Because when we're in the sympathetic, the fight, flight, freeze, appease, we're not going to be able to problem solve.
Mm.
We're just react, react, react.
Mm.
We don't live in a society that really appreciates rest and digest.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, what are you talking about? I was laying in bed scrolling on my phone for an hour. Like that was rest and digest.
Mm.
And today I'd like to suggest perhaps it's not what you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, again, I'm not judging anyone for their phone use. Hey, I look at reels as much as anyone else. If I were younger, I'd be more on TikTok, but I'm just
Mm.
not. So, not that cool. But so are you okay if I kind of introduce the window
Yeah.
of tolerance?
Please. I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So imagine a window, and that window is we call it a window. It could just be a box in your brain.
Okay.
But that window lets the fresh air of who you are
Mm.
in. It's just that window where I know where I am. I'm not too alert. I'm not too not alert.
Mm.
I just am comfortable in my skin.
Mm.
Now, think about your journey, my journey. How often were we actually comfortable in our skin,
Not often.
right?
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Which means the window is partly shut for us
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And our life goal in this area is to open up that window so that we have a wider tolerance. It's called the window of tolerance. So that if something happens, we're like, that's okay. I still know who I am, what I
Yeah.
stand for. I don't have to overreact. I don't have to underreact.
Yeah.
I'm okay,
Yeah.
right? Uh, our window of tolerance helps us manage stress. Okay. And it's kind of almost kind of being in the parasympathetic state, rest and digest. You're just doing life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a word to ADHD people, let's say we go through life thinking everything is attacking us.
Mm-hmm.
So an email, oh no, what does this person want? My brain immediately goes above the window
Mm-hmm.
to hyper-arousal. All of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in fight or flight over an email
Mm-hmm.
or over the amount of emails
Mm-hmm.
or over the fact that I just did something stupid 20 minutes ago,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. Right. Or 2 hours ago, and I'm still thinking about it. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you name it, my brain goes into hyper
Mm-hmm.
arousal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so anytime, remember, hyper arousal is there for emergencies
Mm-hmm.
and only emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you an example of how my window of tolerance got broken this summer.
Okay.
God gives me all these experiences. I'm like, wow, I feel like it's additional lessons. So
Yes.
thank you. Uh, so I had an oral surgery and it was a very uncomfortable surgery. And I'm like, oh, my face was still numb. I get home. Anytime you have oral surgery, they put you on an antibiotic
Mm-hmm.
because its mouth is dirty. I take the antibiotic. I've taken it before. And so landscapers were at our house. I went out to talk to them. I'm like, wow, I just have this weird nagging cough. It's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my husband, you know what? I gotta go lay it down. I'm not feeling great. I feel like I can't breathe right. And I have asthma, so no alarm bells were going off.
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes later, I'm like, something's terribly wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mouth was numb, so I couldn't feel my throat swelling shut.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah. And my pulse ox, I have a iPhone or a watch that will take my pulse ox.
Uh-huh.
It was 80.
Wow.
It's supposed to be 95
Right.
is
Yeah.
I mean, 99's better, but
Hmm.
when you have asthma, like you'll settle for 92,
Hmm.
but it was 80, which means I was hypoxic
Right.
and I needed to get help. And I texted my husband, please help me. And that guy, that sweetheart of a guy, he was out buying me flowers for the
Oh.
surgery. And,
Oh.
he's like, um, he said, do I need to come home? I said, right away. So he comes, he sees me, I'm on the floor, and he's like, what's happening? And finally, I'm like, we have to go to the hospital. And we only live 5 minutes away. I had the golden ticket of not being able to breathe, so I just passed everyone else sitting
Uh-huh.
there.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I went into anaphylactic shock. So it was incredibly stressful. And getting to the hospital for me was the stressful part. Once I was there, I'm like, we're good. Like, I trust these people. I mean,
Hmm.
they had two lines in me immediately, epi needle in me. Like, they were doing life-saving procedures. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
cool, this is what I needed. But after that, I couldn't regulate my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a conversation that was kind of tense, but
Mm-hmm.
normally I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be okay in the moment. And then afterwards, I'd just start shaking and crying. Well, that's not like me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my body and my brain waited to go into hyper-arousal. Like I
Yeah.
relied on training in the
Yeah.
moment and then
Yeah.
go into hyper-arousal afterwards. So my nervous system was so messed up that for 3 weeks, I felt jittery, like someone
Mm-hmm.
would come near me and I'd jump. Like one time the dogs were barking, my husband was playing with my dogs. I just started crying.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not like me.
Yeah.
I was stuck in hyper-arousal.
Yeah.
And I know a lot about the nervous system, so I kept trying to calm myself down.
Yeah.
Now, because it was caused by trauma,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, and also I have uh, colleagues who work at the ADHD Center with me offering this. I was able to do a session on EMDR
Okay.
that really helped me
Mm-hmm.
re-regulate my nervous system.
Mm.
So I needed extra help there.
Yeah.
But that's an extreme case of how I had a really nice window of tolerance
Mm-hmm.
and then it smashed
Yeah.
from trauma.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of your listeners have trauma.
The scenario I shared with you in the last episode.
Yeah,
So that created a lot of contention at our church. In
yeah.
fact, we ended up in a kind of a group counseling, group mediation session that was very traumatic. And we ended up moving, of course, but that I would have said the exact same thing you just said, maybe just without the eloquent words. But I felt like for years after that,
Years.
I couldn't
Yes,
tolerate anything. And I mean, literally,
exactly.
we moved here and I would lie on the couch and watch Little House on the Prairie
All right. I
because
used to watch that a lot. Yeah,
it was like somewhat
yeah,
calming and I'd seen most
yeah,
of the episodes in my
yeah,
childhood or
yeah,
in reruns. So it was like it wasn't a
yeah,
surprise. Like I couldn't handle anything that was going to be a surprise. Like I never
yeah,
liked Hallmark movies before because I thought they were too cheesy. I started
yeah,
watching Hallmark movies because there was no surprise to how it was going to end. So it was
yeah.
like safe and calming.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is perfect. This is perfect what you just did. Guys, we didn't plan this. She's just that good. So I told you what's above the window is
Uh-huh.
hyper-arousal. And I
Okay.
told you I was in hyper-arousal. You're like, well, the window of tolerance is out for me. I'm
Mm.
going to go below the window to
Yeah.
hypo,
Yeah.
HYPO arousal. So you're like, hey, guess what? If I can't regulate this in this window of tolerance to get back to who I feel I am, I'm good in my skin, I'm going to go hypo and I'm going to put myself in a sensory deprivation chamber.
Mm.
Essentially, that's kind of what you did.
Yeah.
And there's no bad or good here, right? No
Yeah.
judgment because you're like, I'm so fragile right now.
Hmm.
This hurt. This raked my nervous system,
Yeah.
and I don't have any options.
Yeah.
And so I really want to encourage people. Um, there are books, there are YouTube videos on how to reset your nervous system.
Mm.
Now, remember after the anaphylactic shock, I needed extra help.
Mm-hmm.
And I went specifically to a very specific form of therapy that
Mm-hmm.
I'm fond of because it works well for trauma,
Yeah.
EMDR. And make sure you find a really good clinician. There are people who really know what they're doing there. So that's very important. Um, but a lot of times we just go to hyper-arousal all the time
Mm-hmm.
just to get things done,
Yeah.
right? Or sometimes I'm around people that I just, like it's a cocktail party. I'm wearing a strapless bra. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I feel gross. Now, and my nervous system is kind of on edge,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm wearing
Yeah.
heels that are why would I choose these shoes? I want to be in Birkenstocks right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're having all these thoughts and your brain gets confused to go, well, then we're probably in danger. If you have to
Mm-hmm.
wear a strapless bra and those high heels, we're probably in danger. And then
That's
I get
good.
confused that kind of a fight flight feeling in a social situation,
Yeah.
right?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
I've got to constantly work on bringing my body down to the window of tolerance,
Yeah.
right? Now you went to
Mm-hmm.
hypo-arousal, and hypo-arousal is a way of going, I cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't really check out on life, but I'm going to check out on life.
Mm-hmm.
And neither is good or bad. It's what we do when we're dysregulated.
Yeah.
By the way, just yesterday I had a day where I was above the window.
Uh-huh.
Nothing was going right.
Uh-huh.
We were on a generator at home. I had a podcast to do. My Wi-Fi always goes out because I guess it's a very delicate system up here in the northern woods. And so I had to rearrange my schedule to drive into the center 45 minutes away. I had all these things going on. My dogs were acting like crazy fools while I was trying to lead meetings.
Uh-huh.
It was just so much that I was like getting frazzled. And so on my drive in, I'm like, hey, you are way out of this window of tolerance.
Mm.
And girlfriend, you've got a lot to do today.
Yeah.
Oh, and I get asthma attacks if I get too hyper aroused.
Wow.
I mean, I'm like that, like little kid on a TV show who always needs the inhaler when they
Uh-huh.
get too
Uh-huh.
excited.
Oh,
That's me. My
yeah.
body even tattles on me, right?
Yeah.
And so I sat and I just did box breathing
Mm.
for 20 minutes of my ride.
Mm.
I mean, not consistently the whole ride, but like I do like 6 breaths of box breathing. And so if your listeners don't know box breathing, it's inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, hold that exhale for 5, and repeat the boxes.
Okay.
And I use the box and I literally, you'll see my hand move like a conductor
Uh-huh.
because I'm reminding myself, what am I supposed to be doing?
Which one am I on? Yeah.
Yeah, which one am I on? So that actually took me back to my window of tolerance.
Mm.
So there are things you can do. So if I'm in hyperarousal, I need to bring my body down to the window
Yeah.
of tolerance.
Yeah.
If you're in hypo-arousal, you need to bring it up
Uh,
to the
mm.
window of tolerance. So I want to be careful though. We always have to, if there's trauma involved, we have to deal with the trauma.
Sure.
Like I could not press snooze, even though I was really trying hard for 2 weeks. I mean, I had
Yeah.
a friend keep saying, hey, you should probably think about EMDR. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, I'm fine. I've got a
Mm-hmm.
great window of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, my body was going, no, we don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So always
Yeah.
deal with the trauma first.
That's good.
So, yeah.
So,
So if you're in hypoarousal, you've got to bring yourself up.
yeah.
And so here's what it could look like. Again, we're not mad at you for lying on the couch watching Little House on the Prairie and secretly hating Nellie Olson because we all did,
Right.
right? But something that you can do to get back in your window of tolerance, go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like, oh, Tamara, I just don't know. I don't know if I have the energy. You're right. Let's just put your shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
Just walk a block. Can you do
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is to let your brain know, I am okay. I can come out of hiding.
Yeah. Yes.
Because when you're in hyper arousal, that's fight.
Hmm.
Hypo is freeze.
So would it be safe to say, so like just to put this into like the body image terms, if you will, this is kind of the way I would see it. Like you go to that party. Okay, let's go back to your party where you're wearing the strapless bra and the heels. But you're at that party and you're kind of already amped up because you're uncomfortable. But then you start noticing that all your friends have been using Ozempic and are now much shrunken versions of themselves. And you're feeling, ah. So in hyper-arousal, your response is you run home, you start Googling Ozempic and all the new plans, and you maybe go for a run and you just stay amped up. That would be one way that would look, or what am I missing?
Or at the party, I start to get amped up,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start to like, you'll see me and it like look faster. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally, my brain's like, watch out, watch out. And so
Mm-hmm.
someone's coming up and they're like, hi, it's good to see you. Good to see you too. It's like I look on edge,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
look anxious.
Yeah.
Well, because I would be,
Yeah.
right?
And then
So,
hypo, it's
yeah.
I'm just never going to leave the house again. I've decided.
Or, well, hypo, let's just take it back to the moment. If I'm in hypo arousal, like, all right, I'm just shutting down. Like, I can't take the sensory stuff of
Mhm.
stuff I'm wearing. Why the heck would I wear this? By the way, it's always my hands. I have man hands
Mm.
and I garden a lot. And my nails are misshapen from hitting them with, things like I'm clumsy. So I'm always like very sensitive about man hands.
Mm.
And I'm always like, oh, I should have done my nails. And by the way, I hate having acrylics or
Oh.
press-ons or anything. It's such a sensory issue for me that
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Well, yours actually look nice and refined. Mine are like craggly. But I get also like, I should have paid more attention to that. Why didn't I pay attention to
Mm.
that? And then I find myself like slipping my hands underneath the table.
Mm.
And it's like I would almost sink in on myself,
Mm.
right? My shoulders become hunched. I become smaller. That's signs of hypo-arousal.
Okay.
Like if I could,
Interesting.
I'd crawl under this table.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Right
that's so
now, when I'm
helpful.
in the window of
Yeah.
tolerance in these
Yeah.
situations, I'm open, I'm loving,
Mm.
I'm kind. And by the way, those aren't true of me when I'm in hyper-arousal or
Right.
hypo.
Right.
I'm still the kind of person who is loving and kind,
Yeah.
but I can't do that outside my window of tolerance
Right.
because all I can think about is my man hands,
Right. Well,
right?
me and am I safe? Right. I mean,
Right,
isn't that really what it
right.
boils down to? Me and am I safe?
Yeah. Are people
Yeah.
judging me because of my man hands right now?
Right. Yeah.
And and I still I'm always like, Tamara, you have working hands.
Mm.
You've always had working hands. You love working.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know. I should have at least put some kind of effort into them. And literally the nails are misshapen. It is a weird situation. It is from smashing my fingers so many times. Oh, right. I'm ADHD and I forget, and slam my finger and stuff. Um, but and so I have a choice instead of closing in on myself
Mhm.
or getting hyper aroused. I can recenter myself and my nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's really
and
helpful.
there's so many ways for us to do this. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's really helpful. And I'm thinking that, you know, for so many women, right, I think culture has oversimplified our body image issues, right? Culture's
oh
like, if you
yeah,
just lose weight, if you just get the body, then you'll be fine. And the truth is, no, it's so much more complex than that. I mean, there's a spiritual
no,
component to this that we talk about all the time, but I just
yeah,
love hearing about the physical component. Like, the reality is my nervous
yeah,
system needs me to be aware of it. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
actually have the ability to walk into the party and live in my window of tolerance and
yeah,
think about others. But if I'm not aware, like I don't have a
yeah,
chance at doing it, right? I'm going to walk
yeah,
in there either super nervous, what do they think of me, and amped up and I mean, I've been that person, that I can talk to everyone and blah blah blah, blah, just the
yeah,
power broker at the
yeah.
party. And it's like looking back on it's like, oh yeah, that was just all like hyper arouser,
Hyper-arousal.
right?
Yep.
Just, covering for myself, if you
Yeah.
will. then I've also been the person that was like, I just want to hide. How many times can I go to the bathroom
Yeah.
before it looks like I have stomach issues?
Yeah. Like,
Those
yep.
kind of things. So it's all
So
really helpful.
I'd love to share a trick that I
Yeah,
do. It's
please.
not
That'd
a
be great.
trick. It's not a trick. I didn't mean to call it a
Yeah.
trick, but because it's a strategy.
Yeah.
And sometimes for the women who do have social anxiety. So something we don't always talk about, but people with body issues often have social anxiety
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yep.
I know a woman who it takes an hour for her to do her makeup because it's almost like a calming ritual for her.
Mm, yeah.
It's like she's putting on her war mask,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. War paint.
Right?
Yep.
And she's beautiful, but she's got a lot of body issues.
Yeah.
And frankly, people in her life, you know, see previous about narcissism.
Yeah.
She had a narcissist in her life, kind of her father was feeding her,
Mm,
you're just not good enough.
mm,
And she's actually a striking looking
mm.
woman.
Wow.
So my strategy is for my to stay in my window of tolerance is when I feel like I'm leaving it for a social reason, like social anxiety,
Hmm.
is I stop and um I get the social dread, like
Hmm.
the day before. Like,
Hmm.
why did I
Hmm.
say yes to
Right.
this
Right.
thing?
Right.
Right?
Am I sick? Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I can't go because I'm sick.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, my stomach doesn't feel good.
Right.
And I'm just gonna be really honest. I even have social dread around and it's not so much anxiety for me, it's more just dread. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to do this.
Hmm.
I have a book launch on the 24th. And I'm like, who even is even gonna come? No one is gonna want to do this.
Hmm.
And my friends are like, Tamara, let us love you.
Hmm.
And they kind of did an intervention with me going, accept our love.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm still going to have social dread right up to it.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm going to do. Driving to the place,
Hmm.
I'm going to say a prayer.
Hmm.
And it's, God, I'm grateful that you brought me here. And I'm grateful for all the people that I will see tonight. How do you want me to reflect you tonight?
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Good.
And it takes all the pressure off me.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. Because if
Yeah.
my job, I gave myself a job. If my
Yeah.
job is to reflect God, then it doesn't matter if I have man hands.
So good. Yep. So good.
Yeah. And so that's what I do. And now during the party, I might go, oh, I'm feeling like this again. I'm gonna put myself in a quick timeout,
Yeah.
say that prayer. Like, God, whoops, I forgot again.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So good.
Can you, who do you want me to reflect you to
Yeah.
tonight?
Yeah.
And by the way, God always answers that prayer.
Yeah. I've, yep.
Always.
I've done it too. Help me love them well used to be my
Yeah.
before I go speak prayer. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. That's so
Yeah.
good. That's so good. Hey, before we wrap up, so you have this brand new book, like you said, you got your launch coming the 24th called You, Me,
Yep.
and Our ADHD Family, which it is about having family members with ADHD and how you relate. But you go so much further than that that I would hate for someone to be like, well, no one in my family has ADHD, so this book won't help me. Because I think there's a lot of good stuff in here. We just give me like
Thanks.
the 15-second overview of that book.
Yeah. I was really compelled to write this book. And it's because I see families who are beautiful people who are hurting each other.
Mm,
And these are beautiful people, but they can't quite figure out how to make it work.
yeah.
And you're right. This could be for any family member. And
Yeah.
it's not a parenting book. Um, but because I'm an ADHD expert, of course I'm gonna do it from the ADHD
Yeah.
point of view. But I really wanted families to stop hurting each other.
Mm,
And so the first part of the book is get your own house in order.
hmm.
Okay, so the first, I'm just going to tell you the first part is, are you a safe person? Are
Hmm.
you balanced? Are you in your window of tolerance? Are
Hmm.
you managing your nervous system? And the second part of the book is called Welcome to the Rodeo. And it goes through emotionally managing ourselves well. It goes through how to have difficult conversations with each other, to what do we do when we screw up? What is a good apology?
Mm, yeah.
Um, I give a way to think about it as reach, repair, reconnect. And I
Mm,
talk about those three things. So that's what's in store for you if
Yeah.
you read the book.
I love it. Love it. And I read most of it and I thought it was a fantastic book. So go look for You, Me, and Our ADHD Family by Dr. Tamara Rosier. It's going to be available. Well, it's all available on Amazon, all the places books are sold right
Yeah.
now, and releases officially soon. So, Tamara, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for helping
Oh,
us think through this
always.
nervous system stuff and narcissism stuff. Appreciate you and what
Yeah.
you do.
Oh, I love what you do. And I just love your kind heart.
Oh,
You just have such a beautiful soul.
oh,
So
thanks. Will you tell everyone where they can find you? You have some fun stuff online, don't you? Some resources and
maybe,
such.
yeah, yeah. They can find me at tamararosier.com.
Okay.
And the ADHD Center's website is www.miadhd.com. That's M as in Mary, I
Okay.
as in, I guess, igloo,
Okay. Great.
ADHD.com.
Great. I'll put links to all that in the show notes. Well, thanks again for
Ah,
being on the
thank
show
you.
today. And thank you for watching or listening today. I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. Bye bye.
Yeah.